This is our Research Methods PowerPoint. I'm James Garland.
And I'm Reece Foster.
So, quantitative research. It can be defined as research that is mainly number or statistic based and relationships among variables and seeks to describe observation through statistical analysis of data. Pearsall 2004 said this.
It can also be defined as the use of numerical measurement and analysis that involves measurable quantities, and Grattan and Jones said this in 2004. Quantitative research is used to collect numerical data to explain an unknown. For example, how many passes were made in a game before the game was played. So this helps researchers create facts and uncover hidden relationships in their experiment.
Quantitative research can be split into two factors. It can be split into numerical and string. Numerical is stat-based, it's times and stuff. So, for example, Usain Bolt's record of 9.56 seconds in the 100-meter race is an example of numerical data, whereas string is like names, locations. So, if it's a male or female event, or if it's both, or if it's like a disability event. So quantitative research is important because it allows researchers to identify the unknowns. So how well a person can perform, it allows them to see how many passes they perform or how many shots they get on target. For example, which numbers don't fit the pattern and why. So human error, if you were performing a 100-meter sprint in your local school and your teacher was measuring it, it would be inaccurate because the teacher might stop it 1 or 2 seconds late, which could really affect your performance.
So quantitative research can be used to develop strategies to progress an athlete's performance in sport. So, for example, a centre mid in football, they'll need high passing ability, short and long passing ability, and they'll need to switch the play quickly and efficiently. So, if someone gets a low passing accuracy, that could be due to many reasons, but the personal trainers will then go on and create a strategy to develop their passing.
Furthermore, quantitative research is used for some tests because it's relatively quick. So if there was a performance, a person could analyse an individual's performance, and within that 90-minute game, for example in football, the statistical analysis would be completely done. It wouldn't take long because they're in the game, and there's your quantitative research. So qualitative data can be defined as research that focuses on the experiences, interpretations, impressions or motivations of an individual. Pearsall said this.
It can also be described as an aim to capture qualities that are not quantifiable. This involves opinions, feelings and experiences, and Grattan and Jones again said this in 2004.
So qualitative data is used to figure out how a performer feels they have performed. It can also be used to highlight a spectator or coach's views of the performance. So if a coach has a team and they're focused on an individual and an individual's performance, say they had a centre midfielder, they'd want to focus on their range of passing and their positioning within the game. So if a centre midfielder played short and long balls, it'd see how successful they were, and it'd be an opinion based on how the coach feels they performed. Qualitative data is important because it allows an individual to gain feedback, so they can perform in a situation and get feedback on how they performed, and which will help them to improve in further performances.
Post-performance interviews and discussions allow the athlete to gain knowledge about themselves, and also for Sky Sports, for example, soon as the game's finished, the man of the match and a teammate will go over and they'll talk to a pundit and they'll find out what they've done well, what they haven't done well, and what the team can improve on in the future.
That'd also be their personal preference or how they feel. If an athlete competes in a diving event, they may get feedback from their coach on how they entered the water. So if they entered at a 180-degree angle, that is positive because that's what angle you're supposed to enter in. So it can help an athlete know that they've been successful in their dive. However, if they performed a somersault, they may have correct technique. They may, if they do a tuck somersault, they may leave loose of their hands, or their knees might come out of their hold. So that could be something that they could improve on because they gain feedback off it. Reliability is one issue that is a problem when using research for analysing a performance. Reliability is defined by Thomas and Nelson in 2001 as the consistency of a test survey, observation or other measuring device.
However, again, Grattan and Jones state that reliability refers to the consistency of results obtained. So, how many passes in a game of football is it reliable? Is it from a reliable source?
Reliability is important in sport because any results that are taken from a competition must be correct and reliable. They have to be able to analyse someone's performance and know that the tests, like scores they've got, are reliable and that they can use them further to improve performance. To ensure this, they'll take multiple measure results. So in a 100-metre race, for example, they may have 2 or 3 stopwatches at a time so that they can make sure that the time that they stop theirs is completely perfect and it doesn't like affect a score. Also, it will allow them to set goals because knowing that they've got correct and reliable scores will mean that, say, Usain Bolt with his 9.56 seconds, he might then set a goal because he knows that then tests are reliable. He might set a goal for 9.5 seconds, which will make him improve, make him want it more, or because his scores were reliable in the first test. It affects sports in different ways. An example of this is taking part in a long jump or triple jump as they're about to jump. Their foot could step over the line, but the judge misses it, which would mean that the results are unreliable, because he stepped over the line, which means it's a foul. But if it's not counted as a foul, then the score that he's got is unreliable and shouldn't count towards the performance.
Another example of this would be Olympic scores. So, for example, Usain Bolt's world record run, if that wasn't reliable, then it could be put down on websites as different scores. So, yes, we all know he's got 9.58 seconds, but we know that only because the Olympics are a reliable source. But if it wasn't from a reliable source and it was just from like a school competition, then no one would really know what the score was.
Some strengths of a field test are they're very easy to gain results. They're easy for the athlete to gain results as well, because they can go out and practice, but they can measure their time, get a professional to stop the watch, which will allow them to gain results on how they're performing. However, a weakness of this is the results can be unreliable because the environment can affect it. For example, weather. So if it's windy on a day where a person's doing a 100-metre race, the wind could be behind them, which makes them go faster, or it could be restricting their movement, which means that they'll get a slow time.
Strengths of the reliability of lab tests. The results gained are reliable as the equipment is expensive and highly accurate, meaning there's no human error, or the environment that it's done it's stable, so there's no wind, no rain. The floor is at the right
level.
Yeah. And the weaknesses are the results are hard to be gained because the tests are very expensive, so not everyone has the access to it.
So validity is another issue in sports research. Davies in 2007 explains that research must be testable, therefore whatever is being tested must be measurable.
However, again, in 2001, Thomas and Nelson identify that validity refers to the degree in which our test or other measuring devices are measuring the intention, and there is 3 types of validity: internal, external and phase.
Validity is important in sport because a test can be very reliable but not valid. It suggests that the sport should be specific to the component of fitness being tested. So if a multi-stage fitness test was being performed, it can test if the cardiovascular endurance is being tested. So are they able to perform multiple laps of a race and not become fatigued, or their muscles give up, or running out of energy? For example, like the multi-stage fitness test is a field-based test, so all the scores may be unreliable. For example, the multi-stage fitness test requires you to run from one end of the hall to the other on a beep, but if you don't reach the other end of the hall on a beep but the teacher says you have, then that will be an invalid score. But the VO2 max test is a lab-based test. It tests your cardiovascular levels and it will be a valid answer.
Internal validity relates to how well the conditions and design of the test or study is done, and this was said by Williams in 2004, and it tells us how certain we are that results of the experiment are due to the independent variable or variables that we are monitoring. So, for example, an independent variable of playing football would be the people. So each person is different, each position is different, you need different aspects to each position. So for a centre-back, you might not need to be the quickest, but you need to be strong and you need to be willing to jump in the air for the headers. Whereas a striker, they need to be fast, and they need to be agile to get around the defenders. But they also do need to be strong because they need to win headers in the air. But the threats to internal validity are history, selection, and morality.
During the Illinois agility test, independent variables are what are changed. So many things can be changed when doing the test. Firstly, the athletes performing the test will gain different outcomes. Also, the environment can be changed, so they can do it indoors, they can do it outdoors. See if their results are affected by what their surroundings are around them. External validity relates to how well data and theories from one setting can be applied to another setting. Anderson and Bushman said this in 1997. For example, can a lab-based test be applied in a field-based test? So, what patterns can be changed when changing the environment? If you're doing it in a lab-based test with a VO2 max test, they'll get valid results because nothing's affected them, like wind, rain. Whereas if you're doing the VO2 max test outside, the wind may tire them out, the rain may make them perform less because they may slip, and that means that their results will be less valid than when in the lab-based.
Face validity relates to how well an idea that is tested should appear to any person to be a test of what it's supposed to test. For example, when an athlete performs the multi-stage fitness test, the intended outcome for the assessor is to measure the cardiovascular endurance. Therefore, the face validity of this test is to help to figure out the athlete's cardiovascular endurance.
Some differences between internal, external and face is that internal addresses or eliminates other explanations, so it can be if you're doing a lab-based and a field-based, it gets rid of like anomalies. So you've changed the base of the setting, so you've been inside a lab where results are going to be valid because nothing's affecting it, to the environment, which will be completely different because wind, rain, everything can affect it. External validity generalises the outcome. The research can be used in different environments, and for face, it focuses on how the test looks and how it's going to work. So during like a stock balance test, it will test how long a individual can balance on like one leg. So it will be able to test. It's testing their balance because it's measuring how long they can stand for, which is what it states it will test.
Accuracy is defined as accuracy determines conformity within a golden standard. And Stafford, Brown, Rhea and Chance said this in 2016. For example, a boxer needs to weigh a specific weight for a weight category. So before the fight, they weighed in, and on the scale it showed that they were 87.21 kilograms, and they actually weigh 87.19 kilograms, which means the scales are considered accurate. However, if they weighed in at 89 kilograms on the scales, they would not be very accurate.
Precision is defined as precision is related to the care and refinement of the measuring process. And Stafford, Brown, Rhea and Chance once again said this in 2016. For example, when an individual participates in the hand grip dynamometer test, they get a score. The score can be rounded up or down. So, say an individual got 12.5, it can be rounded up to 13, which will make the score a bit less valid, but it won't make it as precise because it's not their exact result that they got on the score. So, a scenario for accuracy versus precision, we're going to take Luis Suarez in a football game. He's a striker who plays for Barcelona, and he takes many shots in a game. So he could go into a game situation thinking, I want to score in the top right corner. And if he takes 3 shots, so he takes 3 shots in that for the top right corner. If he hit the bottom corner 3 times, that would be high accuracy but low precision. This is because he has hit the same place 3 times, which makes it precise, but it's not accurate.
And if he hit the top right corner, but all the balls weren't close to each other, this would be considered high accuracy and low precision, because yes, he's got the corner that he wanted to aim for, but the balls aren't all close together and they're all in a close proximity to each other.
During low accuracy, low precision, he will be aiming for the top right corner, but he won't hit the target, hit his intended target in the top right corner anytime, and none of the balls that he's hit will be together. Although he may have scored, he may have put one in the bottom left corner, that's not accurate and it's not precise because the shots that he's taken have went in the middle, top left, bottom left, which means that that's not precise, and he's aiming for the top right corner, so if he hits the bottom left, it's not accurate either.
So if he aimed for the top right corner and got all of his shots in the top right corner and they're all in close proximity of each other, that would be considered high accuracy and high precision. And this could be down to many reasons. He could be highly motivated to hit the top right corner, so the keeper has no chance to reach it. Also, the wind could play effect because he could hit a shot to go to the top left, but then the wind might be really strong, so it might go top right.
Some factors, once again, environment, so weather conditions, like Rich was saying, the wind it can affect by pushing the ball in a different direction from where it was intended to going. The skill level of the athlete, so the technique they use, say Luis Suarez going for the top right corner, and he uses power with his laces, it might not go where he's directed it because he hasn't exactly used like a softer part of his foot, he's just went for power hoping that it'll go in, whereas if he used the side of his foot he'd have more direction and accuracy because he's aiming, he's opening his body up and he's aiming for that top right corner.
Also, arousal could be a reason why he's not hitting the top right corner, because if he's too aroused, then he could just be taking any shot that he wants, thinking he's going to hit the top right corner every time, when realistically he's not going to do that. Whereas if he was under aroused, he wouldn't go into the game thinking, oh, I can get in this top right corner, I'm going to score. Whereas if he was at the optimum level, he would be shooting majority of the time at the top right corner and getting the top right corner. And also motivation, like I said earlier, he could be highly motivated, so that means he could get the top right corner every time, but if he's too motivated, then that could affect his performance.
So accuracy versus precision, they have similarities and differences. They have one similarity is between accuracy and precision, that they both aim towards an individual and if they've achieved their goal. So say take Luis Suarez again, if he's aimed for that top right corner, if he's hit it 3 times in a row, he's been accurate, he's been precise, and he's achieved what he wanted to achieve in the first place, which means that accuracy and precision both link together because he's effectively done what he's aimed out to do.
Another would be they are both a context of measurement.
One difference is accuracy focuses on how close the value is towards the intended target. So if they have aimed for the top right corner and hit the bottom left, that's not correct accuracy. But precision is how close 2 or more values, so the balls together, if he shoots and he hits the same place 3 times, that's precision. Which so if he hit the bottom right corner, he's not exactly getting his accuracy on the top right, but because his shots are together, he is being precise, he just has to get the accuracy then.
And another difference is that precision needs multiple values, whereas actually only needs one. So like the scenario, we were saying that Suarez was taking 3 shots, but if he only took 1 shot and one was in the top right, yes, he would be accurate, but he wouldn't be precise because we don't know any other values. That's why he needs to take 3 shots to gain them values and become precise.
So see, these are some of the references that we use. We've used many books, but we've also used some websites, for images like the goals and stuff like that. And that's it. Cheers.